There's a level of discipline that makes people stop and stare. Not out of admiration, out of something closer to fear. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how to build it. You've seen that person. The one who never breaks. Who rises at the same hour every single morning, moves through the same ritual, and just keeps going. No drama. No excuses. While the rest of the world is bargaining with their alarm clocks, they're already moving. While everyone else is crafting reasons to quit, they're showing up again. And people whisper about them. That's not normal. Something's different about them. They're right. Something is different. And it traces back to an ancient system developed by Zen monks in Japan, a practice they call Gyoji. The practice that perpetuates itself. Once you truly understand how it works, breaking a goal will feel almost impossible. But there's a catch, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This system demands that you destroy a version of yourself you didn't even know existed. A softer version. A negotiating version. The version that always finds a reason to start tomorrow. Before we get into it, subscribe, hit like, and drop a comment below telling me the one habit you're desperate to build. It genuinely shows me you're serious about changing. All right. Let's go. Chapter 1, The Awakening. This story starts with a guy named Rafael. Smart. Successful. Good career. But he had one wound that just wouldn't close. He couldn't stick to anything past 2 weeks. Gym? Gone by week 8. Meditation. Dead after 7 days. Books. He'd crack one open, read 3 pages, then let it collect dust in a drawer somewhere. The cycle was almost mechanical. Monday, fire and motivation. Wednesday, the first whisper of doubt. Friday, full surrender. Sunday, big promises about next week. Rinse, repeat. He tried everything. Apps, reward systems, accountability buddies. None of it held. Because he was fighting something he couldn't even see, the actual architecture of his own brain. Then one day, he stumbled onto the reason why Zen monks can sit in practice for centuries without skipping a single day. And no, it has nothing to do with willpower. It goes somewhere far deeper, and far more unsettling than that. Chapter 2, The Secret of the Monks. Inside Zen temples, there's a principle that sounds almost too simple, but it changes everything. Gyoji. Translated directly, continuous practice without gaps. Without gaps. Think about what that actually means. Since 1200 AD, every single morning at exactly 3:30 a.m., a bell rings at Gyoji Temple. And since 1200 AD, every single morning, the monks wake up. Not 3:25. Not 3:35. 3:30, exact. You know what has never once happened inside those walls? A monk lying in bed thinking, maybe I'll skip today. The question doesn't exist. It literally cannot form in their minds. Why? Because they understand something most people never will. Your brain sorts every commitment into one of 2 categories, reversible or irreversible. Reversible commitments breed mental negotiation. Irreversible ones simply happen. When a monk takes his vows before the entire community, he isn't making a promise. He's undergoing an identity shift. He's not trying to be a meditator, he is one, witnessed and declared. The negotiation doesn't just weaken. It ends. A Harvard neuroscientist who spent 15 years studying habits uncovered something that reframes all of this. When you make a behavior public, your primal brain treats failure as a threat to survival. Our ancestors who lost standing in the tribe didn't live long. Your brain still carries that fear, quietly, in the background, all the time. That's the lever Rafael pulled. He stopped making quiet, private promises and started making loud, public declarations. He put it in writing, I am someone who meditates 20 minutes every day at 5 a.m. for 90 consecutive days. He signed it. Posted it online. Told everyone around him. His girlfriend rolled her eyes. You're being dramatic. Co-workers smirked. Trying a little hard, aren't you? Perfect. Every skeptic became fuel. Every morning he wanted to quit, one thought stopped him cold, the image of having to face all those people and admit he was just another guy who couldn't follow through. The public declaration had flipped the equation. Giving up now hurt more than pushing through. But then the real battle began. Chapter 3: The Internal War. Even with the social pressure locked in, Rafael was still waging war with himself every single morning. His body didn't care about his reputation. Biology has no interest in your goals. When he was exhausted, it wanted sleep, simple as that. The declaration had killed the mental negotiation. But it hadn't touched the physical resistance. That's when he found the monk's second principle, non-negotiable hours. Think about how much energy you bleed every day asking yourself the same pointless question: when am I going to do this? Morning. After lunch. Before dinner? Maybe tonight. That deliberation costs you real cognitive fuel. Glucose your brain should be using for the actual practice gets burned up just deciding when to start. Rafael chose 5 a.m. Not because he loved mornings or romanticized the sunrise. He chose it because at 5 a.m., the world is asleep. No messages. No noise. No excuses waiting to ambush him. The time wasn't optimized, it was fortified. Every possible escape route sealed shut. The first week was brutal. His body fought him every single morning, and that's completely normal. You're forcing a machine built on repetition to rewire itself. It resists. Hard. But week 2 shifted things. He started waking up 2 minutes before the alarm. His body had stopped fighting the pattern, it had begun anticipating it. By day 14, his feet hit the floor before his conscious mind even had a chance to weigh in. No thought. No decision. Just movement. Here's what most people miss about fixed timing: it's not about finding the perfect hour. It's about removing time as a variable. When your schedule shifts daily, your brain has to negotiate every single time. When the hour is locked, there's nothing left to argue with. But Rafael's mind found a new crack to exploit. The hour was fixed, but what he did inside it kept changing. Meditation one morning. Reading the next. Push-ups after that. He'd solved the when but left the what wide open, and his brain quietly slipped right back in through that door. This is where Dogen's teaching on forms gets uncomfortable, because it demands something most people aren't willing to do. Chapter 4: The One Way. You think variety keeps you engaged. You think switching things up keeps the spark alive. It doesn't. Variety is exactly where consistency goes to die. Every time you change the what, your brain fires up a new round of micro-decisions. Push-ups or burpees. This book or that one. 5 minutes or 10. Each tiny choice is another crack, another opening for your old patterns to seep back in. Rafael shut it all down completely. 20 push-ups. 10 minutes of meditation. 10 minutes of reading. Same order. Same timer. Same thing. Every single day. His own private ango, 90 days of identical practice, locked and loaded. His friends called him robotic. His girlfriend said he was becoming insufferable. They didn't understand that insufferable was precisely the point. Paraphrased script, continued. By week 3, his mind declared all-out war. Every morning it screamed at him. You're not a machine. This is mindless. Change it up before you burn yourself into the ground. Week 4, something broke. But it wasn't his discipline. It was the resistance itself. The negotiating voice started losing volume. By week 6, he was halfway through his push-ups before his brain even realized his body had started. The practice was running itself. And this is what people never grasp about consistency. It's not about willpower enduring forever. It's about repeating something long enough that willpower becomes completely unnecessary. Your body learns the sequence the same way a dancer absorbs choreography, not through force, but through repetition. An MIT researcher who spent 12 years studying behavioral automatization put it plainly: when you repeat an action in the same context for roughly 66 days, the basal ganglia take over. The behavior stops being a choice. You stop deciding to do it. You simply do it. On day 35, Rafael got the flu. On day 40, he was on the road for work. This is the moment. Right here. Sick day equals rest day. Travel equals exception. This is the exact place where the old pattern reasserts itself, where everyone folds, because flawless practice demands flawless conditions, and flawless conditions don't exist. But Dogen saw something about gaps that reframes everything. He wrote that practice must flow without even a single moment of interruption, because inside that gap, every old pattern you've been fighting finds its way back home. What kept Rafael going when everything fell apart wasn't perfection. It was continuity. Chapter 5: Practice Without Gap. The all-or-nothing lie has destroyed more consistency than laziness ever could. If I can't do the full 20 minutes, what's the point? If the conditions aren't right, I'll just wait until tomorrow. That thinking builds gaps. And gaps are where your old self quietly moves back in, unpacks its bags, and gets comfortable. Look at any elite athlete closely. They have rest days, but those rest days are deliberate. Planned. Strategic. Never because they didn't feel like showing up. A rest day is a tool to train harder tomorrow. It's still movement. It's still direction. But skipping because you're tired? That's not rest. That's retreat. A river doesn't stop flowing. In a drought, it might shrink to a trickle, but it keeps moving. The moment it stops, it's no longer a river. It's just a dry memory of where water used to run. Your practice works the same way. The moment you create a gap, you're no longer someone who practices. You become someone who used to. Day 40. Airport at 4 a.m. A full day of back-to-back meetings. No hotel gym. Rafael did push-ups in an airport bathroom while strangers stared. Perfect. He meditated in the back of an Uber. He read on the plane. Nothing was ideal. Everything moved forward. That is Gyoji. The practice sustaining itself. People started noticing. Co-workers told him he seemed different. Friends said he was becoming obsessive. Someone actually pulled him aside and said his level of discipline wasn't healthy, that normal people don't operate that way. When you start hearing those words, pay attention. It means you're on the right track. Normal people get normal results. You're not chasing normal. You're building something unbreakable. But nothing prepares you for what comes next. Chapter 6: Pre-Solutions. Your kid gets sick. Your car breaks down on the way to the gym. Your boss traps you in a meeting that runs 2 hours over. These moments kill consistency, not because they're too hard to overcome, but because you haven't already decided how to handle them. When an unexpected obstacle hits, you're suddenly forced to make a decision under stress, under chaos, under pressure. And in that moment, you'll take the path of least resistance. Every time. The obstacle wins not because it's stronger, but because you walked into the fight unprepared. Zen monasteries have run without a single missed day of practice for centuries. Earthquakes. Wars. Famine. The practice continues. How? Because they never make decisions when things go wrong. The answer was already decided long before the crisis arrived. When the meditation hall floods, they move to the dining hall. When the dining hall burns, they sit in the courtyard. No meetings. No deliberation. No negotiation. The bell rings. The response follows. Automatic. Rafael sat down and wrote out every obstacle that had ever derailed him before, and he pre-solved each one. Rain. Push-ups in the garage. Guests in the house. Silent workout in the bathroom. Hangover, which shouldn't happen, but if it does, 2 push-ups. 1 minute of meditation. 1 page. The minimum that keeps the river flowing. Every scenario. A predetermined answer. When X happens, I do Y. No thinking. No bargaining. Just execution. The power here goes beyond just keeping the streak alive. It's that your brain stops burning energy on decisions it used to fight over. It knows the practice continues no matter what. That certainty, that deep, settled knowing, changes your entire nervous system. A Yale behavioral psychologist who spent 20 years studying decision-making found that when you put aside your actions, you strip decision fatigue out of the critical moment entirely. Your prefrontal cortex, the seat of your willpower, stays completely intact to execute, not deliberate. Day 70. The practice had gone fully automatic. Some mornings, Rafael would finish his push-ups without any memory of starting them. His body simply moved through the sequence like a machine that had forgotten it was ever anything else. His girlfriend's mother visited for a week. He did push-ups in the bathroom at 5 a.m. Nobody knew. Nobody had to. The practice didn't care about the audience. On day 90, he closed out his personal ango. 90 days. Uninterrupted. Complete. But something much bigger had quietly happened beneath the surface. Chapter 7, The Transformation. He wasn't the same person anymore. Friends looked at him and said it out loud, "Your consistency is actually kind of terrifying." His response? Good. Because when your discipline makes the people around you uncomfortable, you finally reached the right operating level. Your existence alone becomes a challenge to every story they tell themselves about what's possible. That's why they'll call you obsessive. That's why they'll preach balance. They need you to slow down, not for your sake, but so they can feel better about standing still. But you're not doing this for them. You're doing it because you found the truth hiding beneath all the self-help noise. Consistency isn't about forcing yourself to do something every single day. It's about becoming the kind of person who simply cannot do it any other way. When you build the Gyoji System, the public declaration, the locked schedule, the seamless unchanging practice, the pre-written answers, you're not just stacking habits. You're dismantling an old identity and constructing a new one from the ground up. You stop being someone who tries. You become someone who simply is. And when that shift is complete, when it's fully locked in, people will watch you and ask, "How does he do that?" The answer will be almost too simple. He doesn't. He is. So the real question is, are you ready for this? Because this isn't about discipline in the way most people mean it. It's about death and rebirth. The death of the version of you that negotiates, delays, and retreats. The birth of the version that just moves. The Gyoji System won't make you a better version of who you already are. It will make you someone fundamentally different. Someone people look at and say quietly to themselves, "That's not normal." And when you hear those words, and you will, you'll know you've finally arrived. If this shifted something in you, subscribe and hit the bell, because what's coming next will go even deeper. And leave a comment right now. What's your public declaration going to be? What habit are you committing to with the Gyoji System? Remember, the consistency that unsettles others is the only consistency worth building. Thank you for staying until the end. I'll see you in the next one.